On this episode of What Is This Idiot Doing Now, I've been getting a lot of tech calls about computers. They're getting long in the tooth and they're dying, and people are needing to find replacements. So I'm doing a little experiment. So this is a computer for one of my little CNC routers, the little 3040. And as we can see, this was originally a Windows 8 machine. It's got Windows 10 on it now. It's Core i5 if I remember right. Yeah, it's Core i5. And this is way overkill for running Mach 3. But it does a really good job. And I just got a package. I got on Amazon and found one of the cheapest single board computers I could find. So what we have here, I haven't even opened it yet. I took the liberty of pulling the shrink wrap off of it because I'm doing this one-handed. This is a LattePanda. It's a single board computer, runs Windows 10. There's two variations of it. This one is the 4 gig 64 gigabytes of onboard storage. There's a 2 gig 32, but they'll do the same thing for what we're wanting. I think this was 160 bucks. And let's open this thing up. So in the box you get the computer. Stop laughing. It is a computer. Let me go ahead and rip this open using my teeth. That is it. Oh, we have a Wi-Fi antenna if we need it. So what these are really for is robotics and stuff. This one has got a 4-core Intel Cherry something or other processor on it. Don't really care. But it's also got an Arduino, which is what these ins and outs are for. GPIO pins. Power reset. It's got a micro SD card. Gets power from 5 volts, which is what I'm hoping this thing will do. So I've read that these require at least 2 amps to run. So this is 2.1. I don't know if this is going to be enough amperage for this, because I'm going to be loading up keyboard and mouse. I'm going to be loading up the USB bus with peripherals and using the Ethernet. And this thing's even got HDMI to go out to the monitor, so I'm going to have to go to my office and pull one of my big monitors that has HDMI to get this thing set up. But I am going to try and run Windows 10 and Mach 3, which is everything that this thing does, off of this guy. Like I said, 160 bucks for this version. I think it's 130 for the 2 gigabytes, 32 gig onboard storage. So that is going to replace essentially one of those computers. And I've got another one of the small little Intels down there. And I got that big ass bastard up there to run this router. So this is the router that we are going to set this up on, and just drop that. We're going to set it up on, and we're going to do some testing off of the little router because it's the easiest to get to. And eventually, I would like to get a couple more of these and replace all of these big boxes. For one, the power requirements of this thing, if this works. If this does not work, I have got a 5 volt 7 amp power supply here. We'll just cut a micro USB port or USB cable and wire it up. So the power draw is going to be cut in a third. But it's to show that something like this can run something like that reliably. That's the key, reliably. So I am going to get set up. I'm going to get this thing booted up for the first time. and install Mach 3 and bring over, since this is the computer for the router, I'm going to bring over the Mach 3 folder, the configuration, everything for the little router, and I'm going to put it on this and see what we get. Yeah, this might be kind of stupid, but we'll see. Basically to show, and I think this is probably going to be overkill as far as the requirements for Mach 3 goes as well, but to show you that you can go out, get a replacement computer, Facebook Marketplace, stuff like that, Craigslist, get a cheap $100, $200 computer, and get yourself back up and running. So I'm going to get this set up. I got to grab a monitor, like I said, rip files off of that, and see how we fare. Maybe stupid, may not. So I got this set up. So here we've got the LattePanda. There's the power cord going over to the power brick. Phone charger. Have not needed to use this yet, but I brought it out just in case. I've got USB going over to a hub where I've got keyboard, mouse, and a memory stick. I've got my Mach 3 folder copied over from the little router. And I'll go in and declutter a lot of this stuff and turn off a bunch of services that aren't needed. The thing I did notice is this plate here gets pretty warm. And the CPU is actually back down there, and that plate gets pretty warm. I ordered a little case that comes with a fan for active cooling for this. But me being the doorknob, I guess you would say, that I am, went ahead and cut up an old heat sink. So I'm going to affix those. I'm going to do some testing with this. But I'm going to fix those on there, probably with just a big C-clamp. So I'll put one on here, one on the bottom, C-clamp just to hold them together. In my testing, just to control the thermals so the processor doesn't throttle. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys how easy this is to set up if you have a backup copy of your Mach 3. So if we go to Documents, I've got my original Mach 3 folder off of the other computer that was on the desk. And I've got some files here. Basically, what we are going to do is I have the Mach 3 version 062. I'm going to install that. And the router has got a USB smooth stepper motion controller on it. So I'm going to have to install the drivers for that. Not a big deal. But I'm going through all of these. And here it's asking for parallel port driver. Since this is a 32-bit, it won't work. So I'm just going to uncheck that so it doesn't install it. And we wait. Obviously this is not a really fast computer because it's quite literally that right there. So with that, what we have done is we've installed the Mach 3 program into Windows. So now I have all of these icons over here on the side. I'm going to dump these three. Don't need those. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to my C drive. And it created a Mach 3 folder here. So I am going to delete that. Then I'm going to go back to my documents, and I'm going to take this Mach 3 folder, go back to the C drive, and on the C drive, anywhere there's wide open space, I'm going to paste that. Now I screwed up and I did not get my Mach 3 icon that was on the desktop of the other computer. If I had that, I could just copy that to the desktop here and I'd quite literally be done after installing the USB drivers for the smooth stepper. But even if I don't have that icon, I've got the loader here, so that is done. Double click on the loader and it shows me all the XML files that are in that folder. This Mach 3 4-axis is the configuration I need, so if I click OK, so this is giving me the error because it's expecting to see that smooth stepper, but it's not there. But if we come in here, config, ports and pins, outputs, here's all my outputs are all set up. Inputs for my home switches and tool probe. Everything I need is all right here. So if you have that backup folder of the Mach 3, then if you ever get in a situation to where something's not working, and this is going to make me mad, but if you have that folder, then and you have to call me, then we can get in there and set everything up in minutes. You saw how long this took me to do. I installed Mach 3, dumped the Mach 3 folder, installed or copied over the old Mach 3 folder, and we're done. Alternatively, I have been seeing instances where people they're hitting me up for tech support, and we're going to do this again and it's going to really screw stuff up. But they don't know what happened with their computer, but the machine won't move. And when I come in here to ports and pins and I look at the settings, all of this is zeros. There's no settings whatsoever in their machine, so I either have to go back through and reset up everything. But if we have that Mach 3 folder, then we can just dump the current Mach 3 folder, copy the other one in its place, and you're quite literally back up and running in minutes rather than hours. But anyway, I'm gonna do some testing on this, and I'm gonna probably set up my heat sinks just because things get hot and processors thermal throttle. Just to help it out as much as possible, I'm going to go through and find all the stuff running in the background as far as processes go and remove those, take a bunch of this stuff. Good thing is this came with an activated version of Windows, and it does not have a lot of bloatware on here, but there's stuff that we don't need that's taking up space. And like I said, this thing's only got 64 gigabytes of hard drive space built in. So I'm going to take advantage of uninstalling and removing anything and everything I don't need. So I'm going to get to playing with that, and I'll check back later. I'm sticking this in the middle of the video. I'm filming this after I ran the test. That's why everything's up here. But I never really went into detail what I do to go in and clean up Windows. So the first thing I do is I go through the Start menu, and anything that I can right click on and has an uninstall, I get rid of it. I don't need anything running in the background. I come up here and I go to Power Management, Power and Sleep Settings, and make sure that the monitor never turns off, and the computer never goes to sleep. Set it on best performance. This is a really old version of Windows 10, so I haven't even done any updates or anything. This is exactly how it is out of the box. I just went in and turned off a bunch of stuff. So I get rid of all the applications that don't need to be running in the background. Go into settings. And where's it at? Let's go up here. Do believe there's a settings icon here. Come on. Work with me, not against me. So first thing, go to privacy, and I basically go through and turn everything off. Turn everything off. Turn all this crap off. Camera, turn off. Microphones off. So I go through and I turn all that garbage off so those things aren't trying to run in the background. You can come up here to apps and go through. I'm leaving the Arduino on here because I might end up playing with that later. I leave the calculator on, which can be uninstalled, but I always end up using the calculator at the machine. So anything that can be uninstalled, I get rid of it. The main thing is the power settings to where you never let the monitor turn off, because I've seen people wiggle the mouse and when the monitor comes back on it causes missteps. Never let the hard drive turn off, never let the computer go to sleep or go into standby. With controllers with Ethernet, to where the controller, instead of running USB, goes into the Ethernet port or the network port, you have to go in and go to firewall, check firewall status, go to advanced settings, I think it is. This is all different because it's an older version. No, not advanced settings. Turn Windows Defender Firewall on or off. Come over here, turn that off, turn that off. Make sure all that stuff is off. Basically, get rid of anything that you're not using or is not going to be used, because that should not be viewed as a computer. That should not be viewed as a computer. Anything that is running a machine should be viewed as a CNC dedicated controller. So it doesn't need internet access, unless of course you get a hold of me and I request Teamviewer, then you hook it up to a wireless or whatever and install Teamviewer and I log into it. We do our thing and then take it back off the internet. Granted, you own your machine. Can't tell you what to do, but Windows updates can cause problems, especially when it's downloading Windows updates in the background and you don't know it. Any other application that could be running in the back. So if we come over here, we do Control-Alt-Delete, go to Task Manager, go to Startup. Got nothing running at startup. I don't need any of this garbage running because I want this as clean and streamlined as possible. So that's basically how I set up a computer to run Mach 3 or Mach 4, whatever it's going to be doing. We want it as clean and streamlined. I know I just said that, but I have to reiterate it. You want it as virgin of an operating system as possible. No updates, none of that garbage. And when it's all said and done, when your machine's up and running, go to the C drive, find your Mach 3 folder, right click on it, go to copy, stick a memory stick in the computer, copy that Mach 3 folder to the memory stick as a backup, label it Mach 3 backup. And what I tell a lot of my clients is just come over here and tape it to the back of the monitor. That way nobody is going to use it for something else. Nobody's going to end up taking it home or what have you. It's safe, it's secure, it's not going to be used for anything. It's on the back of the computer or the monitor. And if we ever need it, just pull it off, stick it in, copy the Mach 3 folder back over, tape it back to the back of the monitor. If we have to make changes to the machine and we make little updates or changes to the configuration file, just copy that folder and replace the existing one, tape it to the back of the monitor. Here she is. As you can see, I put my heat sinks on with a clamp because of the psychopath that I am. I got a power strip, USB cable coming in over here. The weird thing about these is when you turn them on, obviously you can't see it now, but there's a little blue LED under here. When you first plug them in, that blue LED will flash a couple times and it'll go on solid, and that's when you can power it up. So you just can't plug it in and turn it on. It takes probably 20 seconds or so. And I forgot to mention, with the Arduino built into this board, I have seen where a lot of guys are making wireless touch probes. So it's a touch probe that comes in here and it's got switches on it. And as it makes contact, it sends it over, and they're using an Arduino to accept those signals and then push them over to the actual CNC controller, which I've got mine up under there. So with this, you could do all of that in one package. Just something I thought of. Anyway, so we are going to turn it on. Hopefully. Alright, so I've got the red LED over there. Monitor sitting up here. Hopefully everything works. Maybe I turned it on. Alright, there we go. Now we got the bright LED. You have to hold it down for a second. So as we can see, that's the splash screen for the BIOS on this. And here is the old computer with Windows 7 on it. As you can see, nothing's plugged in, so I'm not doing any funny business here. Actually boots up fairly quick. This thing takes about 2 minutes to boot up because it's got a spinning drive in it, where this has got the flash memory for the hard drive space. So we can see here, I've got my mini tech icon. I went ahead and grabbed that. First thing I want to do is just bring up the resource manager. Alright, so there's that. Go ahead and open Mach 3. Click reset. First thing I want to do is home all. You see Z axis is going to come up. It's going to touch a switch. And Y axis, and then X axis is going to go all the way over there. In editing, I'll probably speed this up. Actually, we're going to press escape. Let's go up here to jog. Feed rate 50%. Do I have any keyboard? Yeah, keyboard is working. So let's just do it this way. Huh. Weird. There we go. So I'm just going to jog it closer to the switches. I think it freaked out because I canceled it in the middle of a subroutine. So X is on the home switch now. We can tell because that bar's lit up, so we'll just move that off the switch. Go ahead, home all. There's X. Y is going back. And so Y and X already home, so now we are going to go and probe it. It's going to go to the fixture offset location. By doing this, I saw utilization go up to 11%. We're going to load a G code. And we're just going to do this one. So this is a code that I used to make a bunch of knife handles for a friend. So here's one of the blanks. And that's what this fixture set up for. I'd have a set here, set here, set here. So this G code is going to go in and do a rough and a finish pass. So let's just go ahead and cycle start. On my spindle motor, I've got a reflective foil here for my digital tachometer. So when the spindle moves, you'll see that thing floating around. But anyway, we're going to click cycle start. Spindle turns on. So I'm going to override the spindle to slow it down. We don't need it running really fast. So here we are running. I'm going to feed rate override up here to 300%. For some high-speed machining. And if we look here, we can see CPU utilization's 10%, 11, it's bouncing around. So we're really not even taxing this little single board computer. I'm going to do some more tests with this. And I am running the keyboard, the mouse, and the smooth stepper off of the USB, so it's all that's getting supplied power. So my little brick is obviously decent enough. But yeah, she's running good. She's doing what she's meant to do. So I'm going to let this run all the way through and check it for errors on the XYZ 0 points, because I know that my fixture offset is off at this corner. So when it's all said and done, I can jog it over here, see if X and Y missed any steps. But it's running smooth, it's running fast. I don't foresee any errors. So basically the whole point of this was nothing more than saying, if your computer dies, this is how easy it is to get back up and running, even on the cheap. So I'm going to let this run. If it has any errors, I'll continue this video letting you guys know what I found. And here we have it. It's completed. It took 30 minutes and 44 seconds to run this code. CPU utilization was perfect. It was wonderful. I did have to restart it. My little stupid cheap China 2.1 amp power brick that I bought. I don't know if anybody can read that. It was running for about 15 minutes and everything just shut down. So I had to go and grab an actual high quality USB power adapter, and that seemed to solve it. And the biggest thing is the smooth stepper on this is getting its power from the USB port. So this board is also supplying power to that. So yeah, that's understandable. Like I said, I ordered these thinking 2.1 amps should be fine, but it's garbage. So everything ran fine. And there we have it. It was running at 300%. And that was a fairly complex code. So I think that's a good viable alternative. Now these heat sinks are fairly warm. So I'm actually glad I put them on it so the CPU doesn't throttle. But like I said, I ordered a case that has a little fan in it. So when that gets in, it'll be in a couple days. So when that gets here, I'll check it out and see what it does. If not, I'll build a case and put an active fan across those heat sinks. Not a big deal. I will probably end up wiring in that 5-volt power supply, mainly so I can branch off of that and feed the smooth stepper and feed this, so this is getting all the power it needs and the smooth stepper is being powered off of the power supply. So I think it's a good viable alternative. Anyway, I hope this helps somebody. It's a cheap way to replace a computer